Today we're going to talk about what it's like to go back to school at age 40. I first went back to school at, I think, 38 actually, and went to a community college. But now I'm at a major university. I'm at CU Boulder, and I'm studying leadership and anthropology. My experience thus far is that it's been really fun. I've just felt like such freedom that I don't feel in my daily real world life. I've been able to talk and discuss and debate things that I don't get to in my daily life. And with people who aren't shut down and have formed concrete opinions about everything. That's been really nice. In addition to that, I feel significantly more interested in what I'm studying than I did when I was 22 and only giving it a half-hearted attempt. That's actually been the big thing, this sense of purpose that I feel now that I didn't feel before. It's just been a night and day type experience for me that I really appreciate. Moving on, regarding my age, I have never been alone in any of my classes as the only older student, what is called a non-traditional student at CU. The truth is though that doesn't matter all that much anyway, because after a couple of days, usually like 3 days in class, everybody forgets your age and kind of just starts looking at you like a regular student anyway. Nobody really cares. So I haven't felt really any of the ill effects of being 40 years old in a college classroom. In regards to cultural gaps between me and the other students, a couple of those do exist. Strangely though, it's not so much with the younger students, it's with the upperclassmen. I think something kind of happened, maybe it has to do with COVID, in regards to like the 21 to 23 year olds, because there is some kind of a cultural difference there. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's about. In the same vein, moving on, there is a certain amount of indoctrination going on, I believe, at many of our universities today. There is a certain amount of tension in the air right now. I think that's, like I said, like culture-wide right now, and it has to do with very oftentimes with classes involving where you talk about gender and race. There has been, like I said, a tangible degree of tension in a couple of my classes, to the point where students have gotten upset and protested to the professor, or worse, not had the guts to protest to the professor, but went and talked behind their back and said things that no student should really say. Like they don't feel as though they can speak their mind regarding their opinions regarding certain subjects without getting marked down in regards to their grades, for instance. That's really bad. I think that's a sign of the times right now, and I don't think that's going to be a permanent thing. But I did want to bring that up because it is a subject that is being talked about, or it is a phenomenon rather that's being talked about, at least at the school I'm at right now. In regards to relationships with other students, prejudice is really the only thing that keeps you from making friends with them. I've found, like I said earlier, that I can make friends with basically anyone. I've hung out with a couple of the other students, not the really young ones, but I could. I don't have any problem with that. And this whole like age gap thing doesn't seem to have played out in the way that I thought maybe it would, or that other people kind of assume it would. It's kind of like at a job. There might be a 50-year-old at a job and a 25-year-old new graduate who just got into the job, and they can be great friends at work. Now, if you want to hang out outside of work, that might be a different story, but at the very least at work, you can get along very, very well. It just is one of those things that you don't have to worry about nearly as much as I think a lot of people do. In regards to any other kind of relationships, when you sit 5 feet away from somebody for 6 months and you discuss all kinds of topics and you get to know one another, there's sparks are going to fly. There's going to be chemistry. It's up to you what you want to do with that. I can say that I've been very conservative regarding that. I just want to keep anything from making my study experience, my school experience, dramatic or uncomfortable for me in any way. So I've been extremely conservative regarding that, but I'm not here to judge. Moving on, teaching. The teaching is generally better than it was when I went to school the first time. Now the classes are much more discussion based. They're using a lot more of what's called the Socratic method. So the professor or the teacher will bring up a subject and maybe inform the students with a couple of facts, and they'll let the students hash them out. I find that I learn much better that way. I retain a lot more knowledge that way. I feel good in class. I feel a lot better when I'm in class. It's just a much better school or classroom experience when the teachers teach in that manner. There's just very little memorization because we're discussing everything. There's not a whole lot of lecturing and taking notes, at least in the classes I'm going to. Now, if you were in some kind of STEM class, that might be a different story. Not only am I learning more, but I'm also getting to express myself more, which again, just feels really, really good. I can't necessarily do that to the same extent in my adult life, in my real life. With all that said, to be fair, there have been a couple of classes that have been flops, major flops even. I think that the more relaxed attitude in the classroom has given some teachers kind of a feeling of freedom that they don't necessarily have. Those teachers or those professors that don't have enough structure within themselves to stay professional at all times have sometimes let things get out of hand. And I have actually had a couple of classes that I would consider as having gone belly up. In regards to grades, it is easier to get good grades as an old man than it was as a young kid. You know more, and because many of the classes are discussion based, you're able to input more of your opinions and thoughts into the classroom, and you'll be able to participate more, which is a greater degree of your grade now. It's just a whole lot easier to get good grades. In addition to the fact that you're so much more interested, typically, I'm assuming, in the classes that you're taking, that it's just easier to study when you're more interested. You're obviously more into it, and you just get that reflects in your work that you do at school. So I found it very, very easy to get good grades in comparison to 20 years ago. Again, your experience might be different than mine if you're studying like something STEM related. If that's the case, and that has been the case with me once, and I think it'll be the case once more. I've had to take a math class, and I believe I have to take one more. In that case, you have to remember stuff that you learned 20 years ago that there isn't a whole lot of like flexibility regarding, and that is tough. That is hard. Moving on, there is a bit of a weird dynamic between you and your professors, especially the ones who are close to your age, or you might get a scant few who are younger than you, and that's really weird. I work in a kind of teaching role, so I'm extremely lenient regarding my professors, and I don't give them I don't have them on a short leash at all, basically, I think. I kind of let them slide with a whole lot of stuff, even when I see something from like a pedagogical perspective that I might not have done. I just don't make a whole lot of comments. The fact is that the 18 to 20-year-olds are so full of comments to their professors that I don't feel like I don't need to make that many. So there is a little bit of weirdness regarding the feeling between you and your professor, especially between I found ones of the opposite sex around my age. I think that they can think that I am judging them a little bit when I'm not really. But whatever, that's one of the things that you're going to have to take going back to school. It's not that bad. The only time that I really felt something weird was when I had someone who was significantly younger, and that person wasn't even a professor. That was just a teacher's assistant, and I just thought that was kind of a joke or worthless or something. I don't know. That wasn't any good, but I didn't really care because that person wasn't teaching the class. Last, we're going to talk about making it work. I go to school half-time and I work more than full-time. There have been plenty of nights where I've had to wake up at 1, 2, or 3 in the morning to study, and that sucks. That feels so bad when you do that and you stay up all night long. You've been up since, let's say, 2 a.m. reading, and then your alarm clock goes off and you're still reading, and then you just get up and go to work. And then you go to class when you're done with work. That stinks. But it's still so fun to be around, or to be in that environment, that it's all worth it, especially for me. Thanks.